What if I told you that your perception of reality is more important than reality itself? That how you frame your experiences, whether joyful or tragic, can shape your entire life? This is the heart of Roberto Benigni's Life is Beautiful, a film that doesn't just tell a story but teaches us a powerful lesson that we hold the power to define our own reality. The film begins as a lighthearted romantic comedy. Guido Orefice, a charismatic and quick-witted Jewish-Italian man, arrives in a new city with dreams of opening a bookstore. He falls in love with Dora, a schoolteacher engaged to an arrogant official. Using his charm, humor, and boundless optimism, Guido wins Dora's heart, defying societal expectations and class divisions. The two marry and have a son, Giosue, living a seemingly perfect life. But happiness is fleeting. As World War II progresses, Guido, Dora, and Giosue are torn apart when Guido and his son are sent to a Nazi concentration camp. Though Dora, not being Jewish, could have stayed behind, she chooses to board the train, determined to remain close to her family. As Guido and Giosue step into the harsh confines of the concentration camp, surrounded by fear and brutality, Guido is faced with a defining moment. Here, in the darkest of places, Guido makes a choice. He refuses to let his son see the horror around him. Instead, he constructs an elaborate illusion, framing their imprisonment as an intricate game where the grand prize is a real tank. Through humor, love, and unwavering optimism, Guido shields his son from the brutal truth, proving that even in the face of cruelty, the human spirit can remain unbroken. In Life is Beautiful, Guido's use of cognitive reframing is a survival strategy, not just for himself, but for his son. By turning the camp into a game, he alters their perception of suffering, preserving Giosue's innocence and hope. This is a classic example of cognitive reframing, a psychological tool often used in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, to help individuals reframe negative experiences into constructive perspectives. By changing the way we interpret our reality, we can alter our emotional responses to it. Guido's strategy echoes the work of Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist who introduced the concept of logotherapy, the idea that meaning, even in suffering, is the key to survival. Frankl observed that those who found purpose, whether through love, faith, or personal goals, were more likely to endure extreme hardships. But Guido's reframing isn't just about survival, it's about love. His illusion protects his son's innocence and ensures that Josue never internalizes fear, even in the face of unimaginable horror. But Life is Beautiful is more than just psychology. It's a film deeply rooted in philosophical thought. Take existentialism, the belief that meaning isn't something we find, but something we create. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that humans are responsible for giving life purpose. Guido does exactly this. He refuses to accept the camp as a place of despair, and instead crafts his own narrative, shaping reality not as it is, but as it could be. The film also echoes Stoic philosophy, particularly Epictetus' teaching that while we cannot control our circumstances, we can control our response to them. Guido cannot escape the concentration camp, but he controls his perspective, choosing joy, humor, and hope over despair. But there's an ethical dilemma here. When does reframing become self-deception? Plato's allegory of the cave suggests that sometimes ignorance shields us from painful truths. Guido's illusion is a protective mechanism, one that keeps his son's spirit alive. But is ignorance always bliss? Or should we confront reality as it is? This raises an important question. In our own lives, how do we balance optimism with truth? Reframing isn't just a cinematic device. It's a tool we can all use in our daily lives. Consider stress and anxiety. Instead of thinking, this situation is unbearable, what if we viewed it as, this is an opportunity to develop resilience? In cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, this technique helps individuals combat negative thought patterns and replace them with constructive ones. Workplace challenges are another example. Pressures at work can feel overwhelming. But if we shift our mindset, seeing them as opportunities for growth rather than burdens, we gain a greater sense of control and purpose. Similarly, in relationships and conflicts, instead of perceiving disagreements as a breakdown, we can see them as a chance to understand and strengthen our connections with others. Failure, too, can be reframed. Many of history's most successful figures, from Thomas Edison to Walt Disney, experienced repeated failures, but rather than seeing them as defeats, they viewed them as stepping stones to progress. Even minor setbacks, like being stuck in traffic, can be seen in a new light. Rather than letting frustration take over, we can reframe the moment as an opportunity to listen to music, reflect, or simply practice patience. Perhaps the most powerful reframing applies to suffering itself. As Viktor Frankl suggested, even in pain, we can choose to find meaning, whether through faith, personal growth, or helping others. The very title of the film, Life is Beautiful, is itself an act of reframing. It is not a statement of naive optimism, but a deliberate choice to see beauty even in the face of suffering. Guido's actions embody this philosophy. He transforms a world of fear into one of love, making his son's survival not just about endurance, but about preserving joy and innocence. The film reminds us that beauty is not the absence of pain, but the presence of meaning, love, and perspective. Guido's story is heartbreaking, yet profoundly beautiful. His final act is not one of despair, but of unwavering hope. He never allows circumstances to define his spirit, and in doing so, he teaches us one of life's most valuable lessons. Our perception creates our reality. Life is Beautiful reminds us that reframing is not about denying reality, but about choosing how we engage with it. So ask yourself, how do you frame your own experiences? Are you trapped in a negative narrative, or can you shift your perspective? Can you find beauty in life, even in its hardships? Because in the end, life is not just about what happens to us, it's about how we choose to see it. And maybe, just maybe, if we learn to reframe our own stories, we too can make life beautiful.